One of the fascinating aspects of our Parsha is to watch carefully the actions of Pharaoh and his response to the plagues and all of the destruction. Time and again, Pharaoh is unable to see what lies directly in front of him. If only he would just let the Jewish people go. And from this perspective, I think we might agree that Pharaoh was irrational and often unreasonably obstinate. And yet, the beginning of our Parsha seems to present a very different version of Pharaoh. Not only is the argument that he presents cogent, on its face, it seems to be a lot more persuasive than Moshe's counter-argument. You see, 7 plagues had come and gone. Egypt had been decimated. Now the threat of locusts of Arba loomed, and Pharaoh's counselors tell him that enough is enough. Ad mata yihiyeh zelanu l'mokesh. How long shall this be a snare to us? Shalach et hanashim v'yavdu et Hashem Eloheim. Let the men go and worship the Lord their God. And if you look very closely, these advisors choose their words very carefully. They suggest to Pharaoh to send the men. Let them have their little holiday, a boys' weekend. Spare us any more death, any destruction. And amazingly, Pharaoh seems to listen. He calls in Moshe and Aaron and tells them that they can go. But answer just one little question for me, if you don't mind, Moshe. Miva miyaholachim? Who is it that's going on this trip? It's just the men, right? And when he hears this, Moshe is quick to disabuse Pharaoh of this misconception. It's not just the men, it's everyone. Bin arenu uviz kenenu elech, the young people, the old people, our sons, our daughters, our flocks. Everybody is coming because Chag LaHashem Lanu, it is a celebration to Hashem, to our God. And if you think about it, Pharaoh's reaction, while perhaps strategic, is certainly strange. What makes Pharaoh all of a sudden ask, after all that has taken place, who is going with you? Hasn't God made it abundantly clear that he demands the release of the entire people? But more than that, why does Moshe respond in such a confrontational way? He could have just responded simply that, listen, Pharaoh, we all need to go. And yet he further risks antagonizing Pharaoh by declaring, Bin arenu viz kenenu elech, the young and the old will leave. Why does Moshe make this differentiation between the elders and the youth and not just say, let us all go out together? And so perhaps we can suggest that much more is taking place in this conversation between Pharaoh and Moshe than meets the eye. This moment, in fact, overlays a monumental confrontation between 2 towering civilizations, that of Egypt and that of the soon-to-be Jewish people. And what Pharaoh was asking Moshe was, Mi v'mi haholachim, who in their right mind is going to follow you? Judaism is so demanding of its people. It has so many obligations, so many expectations of us. Shabbos, kashrus, tefillah, Torah study. Why would all these people want to follow you into the desert to accept such an oppressive religion? And what does Moshe answer? Bin arenu viz kenenu nelech ki chag Hashem lanu. From our young to our old, we will all go out, for this is a festival unto Hashem. Judaism is a celebration, it's a song, it's festive, it's joyous, it's not oppressive. It's beautiful, it's about family and kindness and unity and times being together. Everybody will go. Judaism is for everyone, no matter their age, their background, or level of observance. It's something that we all celebrate together. But more than that, it's not only that Judaism is about bringing together different generations and people, something that Pharaoh just couldn't understand, but it goes even deeper than that. Judaism itself, a quote-unquote ancient religion with quote-unquote old-fashioned traditions and values, it not only has a place in the modern world, but is integral to religious freedom and practice. Bin arenu uviz kenenu nelech, we must go out with both our young and with our old, with both the history and the elders and the modern views of our youth. Said differently, the way in which we bring together Jews of all ages is when Judaism engages with the modern world and yet at the same time maintains its strong tradition. Throughout history, many have struggled with this question. What is Judaism's appeal in some modern world? And a traditionalist will say that whatever was done in the past is right and anything new is just wrong. What was good for our great-grandparents, it's good for us too. We should go back to those good old days. And those who push progress, they say that Whatever is old, it is out. Whatever is new, that's what we should do. We're not our grandparents. We're not living in some old world. We need to update Judaism so it fits into the latest fads, into the newest of New Age ideas, the most recent cutting-edge worldview. And this view claims that Judaism needs to move with the times. And yet what Moshe is teaching us is that both approaches are actually wrong. Traditionalism won't work because it doesn't deal with the unique challenges and the blessings that we face today. And modernism won't work either because it has no root. It's got no eternal truths. It's just superficial and empty. But rather, we need both together, bin arenu uvizkenenu, together to move forward. And in truth, this is really the modern Orthodox way of life. We don't want to change Torah. It's about making sure that the Torah of old is always applicable in the newest of modern times. We carry our history with us, but show a fresh face to the world. We're not defined solely by our past and our history, and yet we can never let it go. And you see, this is what it takes to build a thriving Jewish people in 2021. It takes something as old as the Torah, which predates time itself, and not only saying that it is relevant today, but living it, carrying it with us, studying its text in the car, on the plane, on the train, or even in the gym. It's appreciating that it is two sides of the same coin. And if Judaism is going to survive, if we as modern Orthodox Jews and as a synagogue, if we're going to thrive, then we must continue to make choices that enhance Jewish observance, learning, and life and tradition. And yet we need not reject modernity, but at the same time, we can't allow modernity to overwhelm a faith that gives so much meaning and purpose to all of our lives. But rather, we need to travel always, bin arenu uvizkenenu, with our young and our old together. Shabbat Shalom.